All right, this is going to be a very, very quick video because it's about something that's happening in a few hours. This is about the MSTR earnings call today. And I think this is going to be a very monumental moment for strategy, for Michael Saylor, for the whole team at strategy, and also for how Bitcoin is looked at by Wall Street. I think this is a phenomenal once in a lifetime thing that we're about to see here. And every analyst on Wall Street is basically going to get caught off guard on this one. This is what I think is going to happen. So currently I was just looking on TradingView and the expected EPS for strategy is negative 10 cents. Negative 10 cents is the current expected EPS for strategy, which means that every analyst, everyone who's thinking about making an allocation from the TradFi world into MSTR is basically valuing it based on that EPS. And what's about to happen, which by the way, is the first time that it's happened in my lifetime, is a company's about to do a complete reframe on the whole market from where and how it's getting its earnings from an asset that is completely new and being birthed into this market. This is a monumental shift in psychology, in the way that we're looking at the valuation of MSTR and the valuation of other Bitcoin treasury companies. I want to congratulate Saylor and the whole team that's had a hard-fought war to get this done. The way that Bitcoin was valued before was like an intellectual property asset, where if, let's say you buy the asset for $50 million and then you have the chance to make it work into a product, that patent is now valued at $200 million. It doesn't matter. But let's say that that plan fails and now that patent is worth $15 million because you bought it for 50, it's now worth 15. You have to mark it down as a loss. And you can never mark it up again until you sell it. Right? That was how it was valued before. What's happened now is with the FASB rule changes is that you can actually mark to market Bitcoin based on its value in the market on a quarter-to-quarter basis. Now, what that means is MSTR is obviously a pot of 600 and something thousand Bitcoin that has the ability to generate earnings and earnings per share. So now we're about to see what is the earnings per share for MSTR based on its main business, which is Bitcoin, right? And its treasury, Bitcoin treasury operations are about to start getting a valuation. Now, just to put it into perspective, you know, NVIDIA, for example, has a 50 to 60 multiple on its EPS. Tesla has a 120 multiple to its EPS. And the way these companies create value are very, very different, right? NVIDIA gets cash, and then it has to go on a 3 to 4 year R&D cycle, and then figure out how to scale manufacturing. Then it has to figure out how to sell the product. Then people actually have to buy the product. This is assuming no competitors come in the market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then maybe investors start getting a return on that capital. Tesla, everyone has to want Tesla cars in a few years. Everyone has to want the new Tesla car. Everyone has to, you know, believe in the robo-taxis and all this other stuff that they're doing. Michael Saylor and MSTR and the team over there, what they do is they get cash like they just got a couple days ago with the STRC IPO that upsized from 500 million to 2.5 billion. By the way, every single one of their launches has been upsized right now. That's a telltale sign. That cash comes in, that day they start buying the Bitcoin, and today, 48 hours later, that Bitcoin is now earning money, right? That is what the market is going to be forced to analyze, because from tonight, every single analyst on Wall Street is going to have to look at Bitcoin as an EPS vehicle. They're going to have to model this out. There's been Bitcoiners saying, oh no, analysts are smart, this, that. Clearly not. They're clearly not modeling this up until now, because if they were, you wouldn't see today's predicted EPS coming in at negative 10 cents. So this is going to be very, very interesting. They're going to have to start taking Bitcoin seriously. Every hedge fund, everyone is going to have to start looking at this going, well, if Bitcoin is now an earnings tool, what does that mean for MSTR if a strategic Bitcoin reserve comes around? What does that mean for MSTR if the halving happens? So now every fund, every analyst that's thinking about this is going to have to start figuring out the future value of MSTR share price, because that's how stocks are valued. Stocks are valued based on the future earnings potential of that stock. They're going to have to figure out, okay, so if a halving happens, or if a strategic Bitcoin reserve happens, or if a nation state buys, or if the HODL army continues to HODL, or any of these things, right? Nation states, corporate adoption, blah, 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 all now have to factor into modeling for MSTR share price. And then what lift would that provide to Bitcoin? And then how much do you value MSTR based on that price lift to Bitcoin? That is how monumental of a shift we're seeing. Certainly a once in a lifetime moment for myself. I've never seen a company, go from being a software company to holding just real estate and now be valued just on the real estate appreciation that happens. I've never seen that. This is going to be a first time for me seeing this in the market. This is a monumental moment for the markets, for Bitcoin entering this field. It's going to make it a lot easier for everybody else, because every other company will now get the opportunity to be valued as accurately as possible from a future earnings perspective on their Bitcoin. And also from a downstream perspective, it also begs the question, if you're the CFO of a company and you're tasked with raising the share price and raising the company valuation, and you run a model on MSTR and say, hey, XYZ EPS, so XYZ multiple on the EPS is caused because of the Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and you can see that, and Wall Street's behaving like that over the next year, 2 years, whenever that is, then you can now start modeling that in for your company. So I think this does a lot for corporate Bitcoin adoption as well. So monumental moment. Subscribe to the channel, because I will be doing a review of the earnings, after everything comes out and after everything shakes out. But this is a very, very important earnings call for Wall Street, for MSTR, hard-fought war that they've had to get to this point, and also for Bitcoiners as well, because it throws Bitcoin right into the heart of TradFi. It also starts making people think, okay, so if Bitcoin is being adopted at X rate, what does that impact have on the price? And then what does that impact have on MSTR? And as you know, with the scarcity of Bitcoin, this continues to snowball. So the question is what is MSTR's fair value based on its Bitcoin appreciation on 600,000 coins over the next decade? Because that's what investors, hedge funds, everyone else will be trying to figure out for MSTR after today. Because ultimately, there's always only 3 rules for Bitcoin. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.